Hello and welcome to Bryant Fitness Systems. Thank you for clicking on the video, and this video is all about strength training. Now, I've been working out for over 35 years and have been a personal trainer for over 26 years. I'm a master pull check practitioner. That qualification took 6 years to get. Hundreds of books to read, hundreds of study hours, and hundreds of assessment hours in which to get it nailed. So, we're going to talk about strength and conditioning. And the parts we're going to cover in the strength and conditioning are posture, core, stability, strength, speed, power, recovery, what you eat, supplements, and books that I've read that I'll recommend. And one of the books I'll recommend right now is called The Sport of Olympic Style Lifting. There you go. And it's by Cole Miller. And Cole Miller trained the American lifting team and has been a very successful coach in which to get people super strong and super ripped. Now, I've worked with plastic surgeons, doctors, I've worked with everyday Joe Public, I've worked with golfers, tennis players, and people like that, and always got them super strong. But we have to go through a whole process in which to get them super strong. It's not just writing a little program. It's not just about writing a program. It's much more in depth than that. So first of all, what I would say with every client is that if their posture's not aligned, say they've got a winging scapula, or they've got a scoliosis, or they've got a disc herniation, or they've got extended abdominal wall, you've really got to look into that before you do any strength and conditioning. But obviously, if somebody's got, rounded shoulders and kyphotic posture, or they've got forward head where their head is right forward, all these things need to be changed first. And you will use some training techniques strength training techniques in which to get these areas to improve. But it's not to the same level as Olympic lifting. It's totally different. Okay. So if I was to try and work on improving somebody's posture, one, I might do a cable pull, which you'll see a picture come up there. And we might do prone cobra. That's another picture there. So when they're doing prone cobra, this is putting the rhomboids and the lat muscles under endurance strain and strength strain in which to get stronger. So they start off with, say, 30 seconds hold, then they go up to 1 minute holds, and once they complete 3 minutes, then they've completely passed. Then I know that I can do more bent over row, more cable pulls with them, or chins, knowing that their posture is aligned. And remember, as a master check practitioner, we don't take anything for granted. We measure everything. So I might do everything in the first session or the first week, measure everything, quantify that, and take all that information on board. And then 6 weeks later or 4 weeks later, if they're progressing really fast, then do a reassessment and show them with photos and measurements how much they've improved. But if a client's got pain, they'll normally say to me, Scott, oh, my neck pain's gone, my lower back pain's gone, this is gone. Now we can get on to the fun stuff. But what 90.98% of trainers miss out is stability, flexibility, then strength, then speed, then power. So you can't go straight into speed and power right at the beginning, which I've seen somebody coaching on TikTok. That's what they're doing, which is completely wrong. They're really setting them people up or their clients up for injury. So, like Paul would say, if you're not assessing, you're completely guessing. So, it's really important to get these assessments done. So, I want my clients to be able to balance on a Swiss ball on their knees or standing eventually, but normally on their knees, and they can go round in a circle using their knees on the Swiss ball, go one way, then the other way. Once they can do that, then I know they've got excellent stability. Then with flexibility, on my program here, you'll see there's 14 stretches a client has to do. I talk them through the stretches so every client knows exactly what they need to do in their program in which to get humongous success. Now, I don't know about Simmons and other powerlifting coaches, whether they adopted this way of working, of looking at stability, flexibility, strength, speed, and power. I think they just go for the speed and power, then rather worry about the flexibility and all the other stuff. And this is the only thing I don't like about powerlifting is that the bigger percentage of powerlifters are fat. They're not in shape really. They're super strong, but they're not in shape. But they're using things for their hormones, so they're not really naturally strong. But my mate in Southampton, the coach living legend, Michael, he's super strong. He's totally natural. He trains all his clients for strength and power, and he gets some awesome results for his guys that go into competition for powerlifting. So he's doing it himself, so he understands it. And I believe this is really important. If you want to be a strength and conditioning coach, if your arms are not 18 inches, I ain't gonna listen to you. Or if your thighs ain't 32 inches, I ain't gonna listen to you. But that's just me. Does that make sense? Because I believe that if you're in the world of strength and conditioning or you're a PT, if you don't look the part, how can you sell it? But if you look the part, you can sell it. Yeah, my mate Dave, he's got records in his curling, but he's got really short arms. That's a joke. But he's a lovely guy. He's got short arms. He's got short legs. So he doesn't have to put so much into it. He would argue the toss about that. But he's got records in what he does. So he can really sell it because he's actually doing it as well. So I'm more impressed with guys that do it, who walk it and talk it, but not just walk it, but not talk it, if that makes sense. So when it comes to strength, you want to be, depends on your goal. If you're looking just for hypertrophy, which means gaining muscle, you want to stay in the 8 to 12 range, which is hypertrophy, getting bigger muscles, but not necessarily stronger. But if you stay in the 1 rep to 6 rep maximum, you will get, if you stay in the 1 rep maximum, you will get really strong and more powerful. But if you stay in the 6 rep maximum, you'll get more strength, but not as much power. But it depends on you. Everybody's an individual. So you can't say this is going to work for you until you try it because everyone's an individual. Uh, so getting the strength, I believe that you should do 1 rep maximum training for about 8 to 12 weeks, where you're putting everything on the bar. You're doing 1 rep, and then you're doing 4 other exercises, then you're leaving the gym. Because you're hitting the neuro brain so much and you're hitting your nervous system so much, that's why you need to rest for at least 5 days. Eddie Hall agrees, all the other powerlifters agree that you need lots of rest and recovery if you're lifting gargantuan weights. And a lot of guys don't understand this and they end up overtraining, trashing themselves, getting ill, getting sick, and they wonder why their poundages are not going up. So really important. So when it comes to speed, now if I was training a boxer, obviously they need speed, but they need power as well. So you need a combination of the two. So if I was training a boxer, I want them to have a record in their deadlift. I don't want them to have a record in their bench press because it doesn't really cross over into boxing. It might restrict them a little bit. Yeah, so I wouldn't get a boxer to do press ups. I would rather get them to do wall slams with a ball, which I've seen some people do, or maybe explosive Bosu press ups or explosive press ups with a medicine ball where you go from one side to the other side, then the other side, and it's really, really tiring, but an absolutely brilliant exercise to do for boxers. So when it comes to power, you always want to be doing more than your body weight, but obviously you have to build up to power over weeks and weeks and weeks and months. But the power comes in is when you're doing explosive lifts. Okay, so you see a picture there come up of my client doing explosive, one arm on the Swiss ball, coming up onto one elbow, pressing a dumbbell in the air. This is not an easy exercise to do. You need stability, strength, speed, and power. And it normally would take me about a year to get a client to do this, taking them through all the different phases in which to get them stronger. So if you look at the picture there, you see a picture of the surgeon lifting gargantuan weight. He only weighs 70 kilo, and I got him lifting 2 times his body weight simply because of doing 1 rep maximum training for so many weeks and building up his confidence as well. And he was in his late 50s, so be able to do that is absolutely phenomenal. So then the next thing we'll need to talk about is recovery. Now, massage, Theragun, uh, getting to bed on time, keeping your stress levels low, which is hard in today's society. But recovery is really important. And what you eat will make you recover quicker or faster. So you see these guys doing a dirty bulk and all this, trying to get fatter, but not really more muscular. And when you do a dirty bulk or you bulk up too much, you gain too much body fat, and to get the body fat off without drugs is hard. It takes time. It's not going to happen just like that. Do you know what I mean? So if you've been on a dirty bulk for 6 months, it might take another 6 months to get the fat off the body to look better, unless you're willing to do extreme fasting and stuff like that. So recovery is so important for strength and conditioning. So with me, with my 35 years of training experience, now I train 2 days, 2 days off, 2 days on, 2 days off. And I found with that, zero injuries, more muscle gain, feel much better because I'm not always in the gym. Because if you've been training for as long as I have, the gym can get really, really boring and it can get on your tits. So by training, being an being a gym rat for 2 days, then having 2 days off, then being a gym rat for another 2 days, really works for me, but it may not work for you. So you've got to find what works for you. So let's talk about supplementation. So we all know creatine works. We all know, and many people disagree, that BCAAs work. Now, BCAAs, Charles Poliquin said that if you take them for 8 weeks at 20 grams, per serving for that amount of time, 8 weeks, some people can gain up to 11 pounds of muscle. And that's simply because they're so nutritionally depleted with their diets. They're probably eating too many carbs, or they're a protein type, or they're a carb type, eating like a protein type, or they're a mixed type, eating like a carb type. And it's all about getting that balance right. And once you get that balance right, then you can gain some excellent muscle, quality muscle that you're going to keep for years and years as long as you keep training. Now, I've experimented with myself where I had about 8 weeks off training and I started to see atrophy of the muscle, started losing muscle. But because I've been training for years and years, the muscle has memory. This is 100% scientifically proven and it works. But where lots of weekend warriors go wrong, they'll train hard for, say, 3 months before they go away on holiday. They're on holiday, they come back, they don't train. So they lose all the gains and all the benefits that they gained. So it's really important that with strength training, you've got to be consistent, you've got to be regular, you mustn't quit. And that's where I come in, where you employ me to kick you up the arse, to give you a bitch slap if you're a bitch and a pussy, in which to keep you training. So supplementation, BCAAs definitely work. Creatine definitely works, but the scientists say creatine 4 months on, then a month off or a couple of weeks off, then go back onto it. You've got L-carnitine, which is really good for gaining. It's another amino acid that really works well. Fish oils for getting body fat down is really good, and lubricating your joints, keeping that synovial fluid high, and making sure when you're on creatine that you keep your body hydrated. If you don't, then you're going to get cramps and all them nasty things that you can get from not staying hydrated. Now let's talk about program design. Program design is probably, apart from pushing yourself in the gym, is probably 80%. If your program is crap and you're overtraining and not undertraining, then you won't get the gains that you're looking for. And what I mean by that is, if you're in the gym and say you're in the gym for 3 hours and you're not on drugs, you're going against your body and you won't get muscle gain. But if you're natural like myself, a natty, I'm proud to be a natty with 18-inch arms. It's important to understand that when you're a natty, your body is much more fragile than what you are if you're assisted on drugs. If you're assisted on drugs and you're in your early 20s or early 30s, you're like a dumper truck. You can smash it into the wall a few times and you should be fine. But if you're a natty like myself, in your mid 50s or your mid 30s, this is when you need a scientific program like I give to my clients here, in which to make sure that you don't trash the body, in which to make sure you don't get a tricep or a shoulder injury. Now, touch wood, I've never had a shoulder injury. I've had a tricep injury once where I was uh, going a bit nuts on the boxing bag because I had a bad day and I didn't want to hit the person, so I just beat the granny out of the bag and I slipped on the bag and then I ripped my tricep, which wasn't nice. Took about 8 weeks, maybe longer than 8 weeks to heal. But I was doing lots of techniques to get it to heal, like acupuncture, massage, oils, and stuff like that. And eventually it healed itself, and then I could go back to hitting the granny again. Uh, so, really important, your program design is that no cycling, no running. If you're running and cycling and you're a natty, you're going to not get gains. You'll get gains in your cardiovascular fitness, but you won't get gains in muscle. Okay, I experimented this. I was cycling in my 20s right up until I was 28, 29, and I had a Doors bike, not the band, the Doors bike, and I cycled everywhere. I couldn't get my legs to grow and my arms weren't growing. And as soon as I didn't cycle as much, I found that my legs got bigger, my arms got bigger. So I'm just talking from my own experience. If you see a picture up there, you'll see I'm ripped to the bone, but I was under 10 stone and I found it really hard to gain muscle. It was really frustrating, but I looked really ripped, so I looked bigger than the average because I was so ripped and I was holding on to muscle. So program design, if you're doing 1 rep maximum training and you're training clients, you're going to have to give them a couple of more exercises, so no more than 5 in your exercise program for your client if you're trying to get them stronger. But with yourself, if you can stick to four exercises or even one, just the 1 rep max, you will see your poundages really go up dramatically, especially if you have the 5 days rest in between each session. But you could still do mobilizing, you could still do stretching, you could still do some cardiovascular, like some walking work or something like that. In which, if you just need to still train, you know what I mean. But 1 rep maximum, when you know what your 1 rep maximum is, you need to be doing 80% of it for repetitions. But doing a 1 rep max, if you train before the 5 days, or even 10 days is up, you'll probably find your lifts won't go up. As in, the poundages are not going up and improving because you're not giving the neuro system enough time to relax and to recover. So, program design as well. Uh, Once you know what your max is, say like you wanted to do heavy weight on the tricep push down, heavy weight on your biceps, heavy weight on your shoulders, legs, and calves. Always remember the weight that you're at. And if you get sick or you don't make it to the gym for whatever reason, and you go back into the gym, warm up and do that same weight again. Never, ever sacrifice your intensity. If you sacrifice your intensity, you lose size and strength very, very quickly. And this is why you have to keep doing the same weight, if that makes sense. So my bicep curl is about 67 kilo now, but it used to be 65. So I built it up gradually. But if I was to go in the gym and I wasn't feeling 100%, instead of doing 3 sets, I would do 1 set of the 67 and then walk out of the gym or do some stretches and some other stuff before I left the gym. Does that make sense? So never ever sacrifice your intensity. So you always keep your strength levels up. And if you're sick and you still need to train, or you're just getting over a flu or some sort of illness, then make sure you only do 1 set. So do the Mike Mentha method, where you'll do 1 set to absolute failure, then leave the gym, because in that way you'll maintain your muscle mass and your strength. Okay, anybody can strength train, but with me, because I'm a master level 5 practitioner, I do lots of assessments and keep assessing constantly with my clients to make sure that they're not getting in pain, that the muscles are moving in the right way, they're getting strong in the right way. And then over progression, they just keep improving all the time. And if you're not improving by 1% every session, which adds up to about 75% in 1 year, then you're doing something completely wrong, or your trainer's doing something completely wrong. So 1 rep maximum training for strength and power. So you've got to make sure that you've got good stability, good flexibility. So you're in the orthopedic norms for your flexibility. Your stability, you should be able to balance on a Bosu, one-legged, use a body blade or a tornado ball or a rope where you can swing it around your body on one leg without falling off. So that will be show that you've got good stability. And then your strength, you want to be doing at least your body weight or more in the big compoundment exercises, like the deadlift more than your body weight, maybe the squat more than your body weight. If you're going to do the bench press for ego lifting, then maybe that for your bench press. But the smaller muscles, you can't do more than your body weight on. Does that make sense? But if you're doing the whole stack for tricep pushdowns, then I will give you respect if you're doing that. Or if you're doing more than 20 kilo dumbbell for bicep curl, I'd give you lots of respect for that as well. Or if you're doing abdominal crunches and you're doing it with a 50 kilo dumbbell on your chest like I do, then I'll give you respect for that. Not a five a 5 kilo medicine ball over the Swiss ball, if that makes sense. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on strength and conditioning. I've set up a new online program that people can join, where you can go to my website, Active Bryant Fitness Systems. You can sign up to that. It's the cheapest. The cheapest package is £99 a month, where we get to see each other. I think it's once a month, and I talk you through stuff and I send you through stuff to keep you motivated and keep going, and to get you to the next level of your training. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe there. Please like and please share. Peace out. Lots of love. Thank you. Bye bye.